So this is just a review over the first three sections. This section 10.1, parts of circles. This is what we did at the very beginning. So we did our dictionary, remember, if you want to get that out. Let's just take the first few minutes and go through this. Now it says, give an example of each using the circle below. Guys, aside from the center, obviously there's only one center, but as far as like a chord goes, you could have, there's more than one chord in there. So I want you just to take a few minutes and come up with what you can do here. I am going to call on some of you, even for this, like in our quiz that we have on block day. We do have a summative quiz block day. It's going to be on all of this, 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3. There is going to be a short section like this. And on the quiz, like there's multiple answers because like for a major arc, a minor arc, we could have different answers that are all acceptable. So when you go through and try this, we'll just take a few minutes here. Let's take about like 5 minutes to do this. I'll do your attendance. There could be more than one appropriate answer. So just try this. So let's take a look. We've got a chord. Kate is not here. How about Ayla? Did you come up with a chord in this circle? J-O? Is that what you said? Yeah, okay, sorry. J-O is correct. J to O. Did anybody come up with anything different? What'd you say?
KJ.
KJ would have worked. You could have said JK. You could have said OJ. So if you flip the order, that would be acceptable. Okay, Marvin, how about a diameter?
KO.
Good. KO, and similarly, you could have done OK, that would work, but that's the only diameter in there. Kaylin, give me a radius. PM, that works. Guys, there are other radii in here. You could have said PL, PO, PK, all acceptable answers. Okay, Jackson, a central angle. OPM, yep, angle OPM. Guys, the big thing for a central angle is your middle letter has to be P because it has to be in the center of the circle. You could have done LPM, that'd be a central angle. KPL, that would be a central angle. Okay, inscribed angle. Chloe, what'd you say for that? K to O to J, yes, and that's kind of the, what I know we had it in our dictionary, but it's really part of what you talked about Monday in lesson 10.3. K to O to J, that would work. You could have also said angle J to K to O, like if you did this angle, that would be an inscribed angle. All right, major arc, Durham, give me a major arc. J to O to L, yep, and if you track it on the outside, J to O to L, that works, and you need 3 letters, J-O-L. Okay. That's not the only major arc there, so if you had a different thing of letters, it could be right. Reagan R, minor arc. O to M, yep, that's less. O-M, and also just 2 letters, like she said. Minor arc is 2. Okay, semicircle, Jason. KJO, that works. You might have also gone through the bottom and done like K to M to O. If you did it that way, that works too. Okay, a tangent. Liliana?
NM.
NM. You could have done MN if you switched the letter of those. Okay, point of tangency, Reagan M. Good. And secant, JD. KJ. Or if you said JK, that'd be right too. All right. So this was all like the stuff we talked about in the dictionary, naming things. Any questions there? Do you have one that maybe you're like, wait, would this work for a blah, blah, blah? How many of you guys feel okay about that? Okay. So, and just to kind of give you an idea for your quiz, let me pull it up really quick. because I know you guys are always like, how many questions? There's going to be 15 questions with a bonus. This beginning part is going to be 7 questions like this on the quiz. So that's almost like half of the quiz is this. Okay? Let's take a look at the next section. Area, circumference of circles. Class, this was also in lesson 10.1. Now, you're going to have the reference sheet. Your reference sheet's going to give you 2 things. Circumference equals pi d, or circumference equals 2 pi r. And then you're also going to have the area formula. Area equals pi r squared. So you don't have to have those memorized, but we do need to know how to practice these. Let's go ahead and take a look at these guys. For number 1, it says find the area and circumference. So area equals pi r is 29 squared. Go ahead and practice plugging that into the calculator. Guys, we're going to round everything to the nearest hundredth. And I'm going to have that written in on the quiz too. So you'll see that. So it comes out to be 841 pi. When I multiply it by pi, I get the area to be about 2,642.08 centimeters squared. Guys, remember for area, that's the one that has to be units squared. So I got the area. The other thing it wants is the circumference. Class, should I go pi d or 2 pi r?
I did pi d, but
Oh, you did? You could.
that sounds better.
But I don't want to do that. You know what? I want to do 2 pi r. And the reason is because I have the radius. My radius is 29. Now, if you did want to do pi d, that's fine. You just have to multiply 29 by 2. So you get 58 pi. And if we plug that into the calculator, we get 182.21. And this will just be centimeters. When you're finding circumference, diameter, radius, that would always just be whatever the unit is, like inches, meters, in this case, centimeters. You guys take a moment and try number 2 for me, area and circumference. So if you take a look, this circle gave me the diameter, 16.5. I had to get the radius because that's what is used in the area formula. So I started off and I just did 16.5 divided by 2. 8.25 is the radius. So when I was going to find the area of the circle, I'm just plugging in 8.25 where I see R. Still using the actual pi button in the calculator. We're not doing 3.14. Rounding to the nearest hundredth, area is meters squared. For the circumference, I just did pi d since I started with the diameter. I suppose I could have done 2 pi r, but I got 51.84 meters. Everyone feel confident about this? Okay. And this was also in lesson 10.1 that we did last week. we have 2 questions like this on the test. So very similar to this review, you're going to have 2 that are just like this that'll ask you for the area and the circumference. It will also say round to the nearest hundredth. Any questions there, guys? All right. Let's take a look at number 3 and number 4. This is going to be using a combination of formulas. For number 3, it says find the diameter of a circle with an area of 153.94. Guys, we got to start with what they gave us. So since they gave me the area, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to say area equals pi r squared. I'm going to substitute in 153.94 for the area. And now I've got to solve that for r. So we talked about this with our calculator. Divide by pi. I'm going to actually show what you get. You don't necessarily need to have that, but just so you see in your display, it comes out to be 49.0006 is equal to r squared. From there, you're just taking the square root of that decimal. When I take the square root of this, I'm going to round it to say that the radius is about 7. Okay. So now that I know that the radius is 7, could I get the diameter, guys? Yeah, so, oh, Lexi's not here. Skylar's not here. Oh my gosh, I'm striking out. Maria, how do we get the diameter now? Yeah, so for the diameter, it's just going to be 7 times 2, or 14, and we should say, what's our unit? Square feet, so this will just be feet. You guys take a moment and try number 4 for me. And just to kind of let you know, for this, we are going to have one question like this where it's going to ask you to be able to use 2 of the formulas, area and the circumference. You kind of have to toggle between the 2. So you guys just take a quick moment and try this one. Or find the area of a circle with a circumference. So since I'm starting with circumference, I'm going to go with the 2 pi r, only because with being able, I'm going to need to go to area. Area means you need the radius. So, you know, based on your calculator, we did talk about dividing it one at a time. Some of you can do it all at once. I just want to make sure you get the right answer. If I do my division one at a time, which is what I'm going to show up here, just because I don't want to make any errors. Oh my gosh, my handwriting is not great here. There we go. So I'll divide that by pi. I get 4.4993 is equal to the radius. So I'll round that radius to be about 4.5. You could say 50 if you want. Okay. Now we can find the area because you have the radius. Area would equal pi r squared. So pi times 4.5 squared. We should get 63.62, and it would be yards squared. Okay. So one question like that for the quiz. You're going to have 2 questions like 1 and 2, and then 7 like the vocab. All right, moving on. If we take a look over here, central angles and arc measures, that's what we did in lesson 10.2. Okay, I want you guys just to take a few moments on numbers 1 and 2, and then we'll go over these. So going to number 1A, Ashley, did you come up with anything for arc BA?
Wouldn't it be? Okay, I got something, but I know it's wrong.
Okay, well, one thing I'm going to kind of back up here. I know that would be 56 because that's the central angle, right? Is there another one that's 56, you think?
The one across from it.
Yeah, because you got vertical. So I know that would be 56. I can find this guy right here because since this is a diameter, oh, it's not writing in. I know that's 180. So we could go 180 minus 56 minus 87. That gives you, I believe, 37. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so now that I know that that's 37, let me write that in.
It's 124.
Now we can find the rest because you could go 360 minus 56 minus 37 minus 87 minus 56. And yes, you get 124. So that's 124. That means that's 124. Again, like one strategy, you guys, would just be fill everything in the picture that you can. So this would be 124 and put degrees because it is an arc measure. Corbin, how about arc CE? Did you get anything there? C to E, the arc. For C to E, the arc.
Wait, is it 37 or 47?
It's 37.
Yeah, it's 120.
It's still 124. Okay.
I'm not going crazy.
No, you're not. All right. And last one, Maxim, what'd you get for A to C to E? A to C to E, yeah. Now, guys, you go in order. So A to C to E, it is 320 or 304. And one way you could have done that was you could have just done 360 minus 56. Like, just take out that part. That's the only piece that's not included. And that's how you get the 304. Did anybody get all three of those right? Okay. Let's take a look at the next one. Same kind of thing, but this time they throw algebra your way, so it's solving a few things. Okay, so for part A, Bailey, did you get anything for X on that? No? Okay, let's think about an equation. Class, does anybody have an equation that you used? All right, Kaylin, what'd you do?
I did 7x plus 4x plus, like, I just did everything.
Everything. 7x minus 4 plus 42 plus 90 plus 4x plus 1 equals 360. We'd have to add all of those up and set it equal to 360. And then when you did this, Kaylin, 11x plus 129, combine your like terms. What'd you get for x?
33.
No. Jason? It should be 21. So I'm doing 7x and 4x, that's 11x. And then you're combining all your numbers. Negative 4 plus 42 plus 90 plus 1, that's 129. So from here, I did minus 129 on each side. And then my last step would be divide by 11. So x comes out to be 21. Hey guys, on one like this, obviously, if we get the x value wrong, then it kind of is a trickle-down effect that everything would be wrong. Okay, so from there, JM, maybe you're there, maybe you're not. Bo, did you get anything for that or no?
143.
It is 143. But it's kind of like smooth sailing. Once you figure out what X is, to get JM, you've got to plug it back in. So we said X was that 21. 7 times 21 minus 4. 144 minus 4. So we get 143. Okay. Finally, JL. Madeline, did you come up with anything on that one?
175.
Yeah, very good. 175. Okay. J to L. You could just do your 143. And by the way, if you look, J to L, you could just do 143 plus 42.
This is,
Wait, what?
it's,
What-
that's on mine here, or not page. So I have to go.
Oh, the other way. Yeah. Sorry. Let me get rid of this. All right. So it is minor. Oh boy. Did anybody get 185? then you might have made the same mistake. So J to L would be this way. So you'd have to plug it back in to figure out the 4x. 4 times 21 plus 1. So we'd get 84 plus 1 or 85 for this guy. And adding those two together. All right, the very last section, you guys, is really what we had the other yesterday. By the way, I was just looking at the quiz because I want to tell you this. You are going to have one like number 1 and one like number 2. The biggest differences here, guys, is one has the algebra in it and one doesn't. So you're going to have one question like each of those. Okay, let's take a look down here at arc length. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to do, just because I feel bad because I wasn't here, is I am going to give you the formula. So the formula is that arc length equals x times c over 360. Just raise your hand. Does anybody know what x stands for? Yes.
The angle measure?
Yes. And then what's c? Circumference. Now you'll have the circumference formula because you're going to have your the reference sheet. Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. If RM equals 8, I'm going to write that in on my figure. Find the length of QP. They want this arc length. Okay, now, I want to caution you because every year a student does this. They do that and they're like, that's so easy. That's the measure of the arc, like in degrees. That's not the answer to this question. Somebody's going to do that, I guarantee you. I'm not going to call you out if you do that tomorrow, but I know somebody will. They want the actual length of it, kind of like that little bit of the circumference. So I'm going to go with, I have to find the circumference first. Circumference equals 2 pi r. So my circumference would be 2 times pi times 8, or I'm just going to leave it as 16 pi for right now. Okay. Now I'm going to use my formula. The arc length is equal to x times c over 360. Okay, so x is referring to this arc measure, the 72 degrees. So the length would be 72 times 16 pi, that's my circumference, all over 360. Now you plug that into the calculator. Guys, this one is rounding to the nearest tenth. I'll put on your test what to round to, but these are going to round to the nearest tenth. I want you to practice plugging that into your calculator just so you make sure you know how to do it in the calculator. It should come out to be 10.1 inches. But it's kind of 2 steps. First, you got to find the circumference, and then you plug that in. Questions for me? Yes. Well, I did, you don't really need, the diameter would be 16, but I used 2 pi r. If you did pi d, you'd get the same thing. Isn't RM 8? Let me plug it in. Yeah. You could have done, I mean, I just did 2 pi r because that rm that they gave me was the radius. If you did this, if you did pi d, you would have had pi times 16. That's the same thing I got. I got 16 pi. Either way, you would have had the same answer. Let's try another one. Let's look at number 2. I'm going to, now, like to do number 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out my circle, these measurements, because I just want to have like a clean slate.
I have a question.
Yes.
If R to M is 8 inches,
It's a different question. That is a great question. So, okay, like JD had a good question. He said if in number 1 they say RM is 8, so then in number 2, why is MP 13? It's like they're giving you a different question. They're not all going together, these questions. So that's why what I'm doing is clearing out my circle so I can rewrite on it, because now it's going to be different. However, in number 1, if RM is 8, then yes, MP would be 8, MT would be 8. All of the radii would be the same. Kaylin?
I thought we were around this in the first one.
We are, but these ones in this section, the answers only did it to the 10th. But I'll put it on the quiz for you so you'll know what you're rounding to. Okay, number 2, MP is 13. So brand new question, clear the slate. MP is 13. And it says find the length of PQS. Again, this is not the arc measure. They don't want you just to do the arc measure. So we need to find all of that. Okay, any thoughts on like maybe what I could do? I think one thing I'm going to do obviously is I have to find the circumference. So circumference equals 2 pi r. You could do pi d if you want, but I'm going to go with this. My radius is 13. 2 times 13, I get 26 pi. Now, I need to find PQS, the arc. I don't know that yet. Could I find this little angle there? Yeah, because look here's your radius. I mean, I'm looking at it this way. So I could just do 180 minus 103 to get 77. Now I'm going to add all of that. 103 plus 77 plus 72. I get 252. That's that whole arc. Yes. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to go that the length, the arc length equals x times c over 360. So the arc measure is 252. My circumference is 26 pi, and that's all over 360. Practice plugging that in. Still only use pi. And these ones are weird because they do want you to round it to the nearest tenth. So it's 57.2, and this would be feet. Okay. I want you guys to try number 3 for me. So you could also clear out the picture for this one because it's going to be a whole like clean slate. So I'm going to go in and erase everything. I'm going to write in the new measurements. Q to S is 10. So that means your radii are 5 and 5. I'm just going to write it like that. They want the length of P to T. Okay. So we could find this out. You know, we found out the other one was 77. Let me leave that in there. This is 77, and so this is 77, and we can find out that other one if I just did 180 minus 77 minus 72. That's 31. So my arc length is going to be x times c over 360. So 31 is out here. I'm going to just kind of do my circumference like in this. It's kind of a little bit, I'm going to just blend it all together. So from here, I'm going to have 31 times 2 pi, or actually we could do pi d. Let's do that since they did give me the diameter. Pi times 10 all over 360. And I'm getting the length to be 2.71. And this would be meters. Okay. Guys, there really is no practice tonight other than if you didn't do the 10-3, work on that. And then just studying. Do you guys have any questions for me? I will give you that arc length formula, so you don't need to memorize that. So I'm gonna give you that. You'll have the other things too. All right.